programs.
Oh, okay. What I'd like to do now, since this is possibly one of the most important pieces of legislation in terms of spending that will ever come across anyone's desk in a lifetime, I'm going to go and just ask everyone, if you're in Congress now, when the bill comes up in conference, if, let's say, it's kind of in the shape it's in, and it's not massively revamped, if it's basically in the shape it's in the House version, if that prevails, I just want to ask you to say yes or no, would you vote for it? And say it loud enough so everybody could hear, and I'm just going to call the names alphabetically. Mr. Nunzio?
As written right now, no, I would not.
Mr. Breyer?
Yes, I would vote for the bill.
Ms. Donatelli?
Yes, I would vote for the bill, and also to point out that this bill does improve increased transparency of the projects. So it is a good step in the right direction.
Ms. Feigenholtz?
Certainly a better bill than the first one. I would vote aye.
Okay. I feel like I'm doing the roll call from the great state of the North Side. Mr. Flores?
Yes, I would vote yes.
Mr. Fritchie?
To get people back to working with the oversights in the bill, yes.
Mr. Gagan?
With serious reservations and only as a short-term stimulus, not as a long-term solution, I would vote yes.
Mr. Matagredo?
Yes, I would vote for the bill.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Quigley?
Yes.
And Mr. Whalen?
Yes, because unfortunately a bad stimulus right now is better than none at all.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Tom Gagan. What is the best way to make a stimulus work? Tax cuts or direct spending?
The tax cuts that are in neither. The tax cuts that are in the bill right now are there ultimately for the benefit of the banks, so that's to get back the debts that they believe that working Americans owe them. It's not going to stimulate the economy. It's going to be recycled back into the pockets of the bankers and businesses. We have over 220,000, collection cases that are pending now in one circuit court of Cook County. That's where the tax cuts are going, into that process, back to the creditors. The stimulus will prevent the economy from melting down, but ultimately, in the long run, we have to take measures, including taking over the banks on a temporary period and canceling some of the debts that the private sector owes. We have a problem in this country, Lynn, and the problem is private consumer debt. Adding public debt to that isn't going to directly bring down that consumer debt. We have to address that problem directly through banking regulation, through changes in our credit policies towards consumers, and other means.
Now, I'd like someone else to take a crack at that. Thank you. Because I want to go on. This is one of the core discussions going on in Congress right now as to how to make this thing work. So, Mr. Quigley, tax cuts or direct spending? What's better?
Well, if you track the Bush tax cuts, they help short term, and they help a select group of people. The stimulus package could help long term, because in the end, we need to rebuild our bridges to promote economic development long term. We need to rebuild our communication system. We need to rebuild our transit systems, and we need to move and change the education system as we have it now to build long term for the economy. So even if you can argue that the stimulus package only helps people work short term, if done correctly, it can help the long term future of our country. So you'll have some benefits as our grandchildren pay for it.
Now, one of the other aspects in this bill has to do with increasing money in Illinois for Pell Grants. I believe in the Senate version it would add $688 million in Pell Grants. Ms. Feigenholtz, tell me as specifically as you can, how will this help create jobs if we increase the pool of money available for Pell Grants for students at universities?
Well, I mean, I think one of the victims, a group of victims of our banks no longer putting out lines of credit were students who wanted to get student loans. I mean, I think that we're doing a lot of reforms here in the state of Illinois, but I think that clearly education is what moves people up the ladder. It is the lifeblood of our workforce in the country, and so making education more affordable for everybody and more accessible for everybody, and creating those kinds of incentives and keeping the Pell Grant program hearty is very, very key.
Mr. Fritchie, in the short term, what can a Pell Grant, enhanced Pell Grant program do to create more jobs in Illinois?
In the short term, what the increase it can do is actually help us both short and long term. We have an economy, a global economy now. We've got a mic that's in and out here. Can I? First I got none, now they give me three. What we need is the ability to compete, and that's going to be short-term resources that help us compete in the long term. I was a guest of the Taiwanese government to go out to Taiwan 2 years ago. They are educating their kids in 2 or 3 languages simultaneously, yet we're struggling to get half of our kids up to reading level in English. We are going to fall behind here. It's not going to be too long before we find call centers for foreign-based companies located in the U.S. rather than the other way around. Having Pell Grants, having the opportunity to get access to higher education is going to be key to keeping us competitive in the short and long term. As I said at the beginning of my comments, I would not be where I am today but for the educational opportunities that I had and the financial aid and hardship aid that I had available to me. Pell Grants are another way of opening the doors of universities to people that would not be there otherwise. If we do not get these kids in the door to the schools, we are not going to get them in the doors to the workforce.
Mm-hmm. Now, if anyone else feels that they have a specific answer on the Pell Grant,
I do.
then Mr. Gagan and Whalen, and then I'll move on. And let me just say to the other candidates, because we have so many candidates here, if I am about to move on something and you really have something important to say, raise your hand, which the radio listeners can't hear, but I will see, and then I'll know you have something significant to say. So I just had that, Mr. Whalen, Mr. Gagan on that, and Carlos. Okay.
No,
Victor. No, Carlos is down there, and Victor. Okay. Then we'll go down to the next thing. Tom?
If universities and colleges and public universities are piling more debt onto students right now, just at a time as we have a crisis of too much private debt, and that debt also is taken on by their parents and relatives. If we don't stop piling on debt on people, we're not going to get out of this economic contraction we're in. People are still going to go to college regardless. So the purpose of increasing the Pell Grants is to react back to the push of universities and colleges, I hope it's not DePaul, but other colleges, of pushing more debt on the students. It's just outrageous how much debt students are taking on. More and more they're taking on the cost of tuition. So to get economic recovery going, we have to pull down the debt level, and the Pell Grants are important in that respect.
And yes.
Spending is obviously more important, and Pell Grants are extremely important because they do several things. The first thing they do is they keep people in school. People in school are learning, they're increasing their capacity to work, and it's keeping them out of the workforce. So people in the workforce have an easier time of finding a job. And that money that is given to students and then universities is not put into the bank to make investments or play in the stock market, but it goes directly towards expenditures on whatever the universities need to hire more professors, keep Mr. Whalen employed, and that's a good thing.
I'm going to have a new job soon, actually.
So was it Carlos or wait, Mr. Whalen that had something?
Yeah. So I want to actually reframe the question. So you talked about Pell Grants creating jobs. The most important responsibility of government is creating skills. Skills are what ultimately create jobs. The iron relationship in economics, anywhere else, is basically those who are highly educated are highly skilled, those who are highly skilled are highly productive, and those who are highly productive are secure in the long run. It's a relationship you look across the United States. Who does well? Right now, the gap in earnings between those who have college degrees and those who have high school degrees, let alone dropouts, is higher than it has ever been. So Pell Grants are one piece, but just one piece of that relationship, and government needs to provide those skills from early childhood education. And one of the doctors made a very good point. We need to have a comprehensive strategy from age 2 or 3 all the way up through age 55 or 60 that spans the life cycle so that your early childhood kids are entering school more productive, but also workers who are 55 or 60 and laid off have a chance to be retrained. Pell Grants fit right smack in the middle.
Okay, it's time. Now,